Hi, Vanessa.
Hello. My screen came on like blinding white at first.
It said Riley for a minute.
I know.
Like Paige.
And there's Josh.
Every time we get on Zoom, it shows a different name. Like when Emma Grace uses this to get on Zoom, it says Paige Saylor. And so I don't know. It's fine.
Get out of here. I don't want to listen to you sit on the exercise ball. I don't want you to cut up tape with scissors by me. Go.
I want to say hello to the world.
Oh.
Mom's already on the Zoom?
Yes.
Oh.
Everyone, yes. Hey, tell Mrs. Timberlake how hard you work on your ancient China writing.
Hard.
Oh no, do I want to know?
Go, out, go.
So Deanne, I just got an email. Dear value substitute.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in being considered for a specific location, contact them and let them know. So I'm contacting you and letting you know.
Oh, contact us or contact HR?
If you are interested in being considered for a specific location, please contact the school and let them know of your interest.
Oh, okay. Well, we certainly have your number and we will probably make use of it.
Oh, Daryl.
Hey, Jennifer. Hi, Daryl.
Hey, Deanne. Quiet bunch.
Hello.
When we're live, we're quiet because, you just never know.
Yes, there's a
I'm
lot
on
of
mute
that.
because I'm not being quiet. I'm yelling at people.
Jennifer, did you get the link? I tried to send it in a text message, but it, for some reason, wouldn't copyright.
Yeah, I saw that you were sending that, so I checked my email first and then posted it before I came on. So
Okay.
I just posted it in the link on Facebook that here's the live link.
Yeah, it's on our website also. I posted it up there.
I'm just trying to read the emails that came in yesterday and today. I hadn't had a chance to yet.
We're still waiting on Mindy and Casey, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's up? Has anyone heard from Mindy?
I can text her. I picked her up earlier and took her to get a drink and a snack so she'd have something because
just
she was
walked in.
staying at school. Oh, there she is.
You're on mute, Mindy.
Does the board have a meeting tonight? The ASD board?
I think it was at 6 o'clock, Deanne, from what
Did you
I,
ask me a question, Deanne? Sorry, my phone was ringing.
Oh, no, I was just checking to see if the board was also meeting tonight.
They are, yes. They had a work session. I thought it was supposed to be on YouTube, but I couldn't find it. And there is a school board meeting at 6:30, I believe.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go ahead and call to order at 5:50. And does anyone have anything they want to revise or prioritize on the agenda? If there is
If
none,
not, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
and can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved as written. On to approving the September 8th regular meeting minutes.
So Jennifer, I was looking through the September 8th minutes and I saw where we were approving all of those sets of minutes, and you've got my name as made a motion and I seconded for the first 1, 2, 3 of them. And then in the fourth one, my name's spelled wrong. And Jennifer, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Yes, I was talking. So
I saw
Paige-
your lips moving, but I wasn't sure. So.
I know, I thought I had left it on. So Paige made the initial motions and Mindy did the seconds.
Yeah, that's what I have for my notes.
Okay, just for the first 3, you've got my name for both. And I mean, if I can do both, great, but I don't think I can. So.
And then which one did I have it spelled wrong? Oh,
The fourth one.
6. Okay.
And then down in old business on the 3rd bullet, it's talking about Charlie Dietz, and you've got a comma between his first and last name.
And I
But
didn't know
minor.
how to spell his name, if that was how his name was spelled or not.
I think it's Dietz.
Yeah.
Anything else anyone noticed on those minutes?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Anyone else want to jump on that second bandwagon?
Oh, second, I'm on it.
I need to unmute myself.
Second.
Can't.
I can't unmute fast enough.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved as revised. On to approving the September 21st meeting minutes.
I was good with them as they are. So unless anybody else has anything, I will make a motion to approve the September 21st minutes as they are written.
I will.
I'll second.
What, Mitzi?
All right, all in favor? All right, on to public input. Has anyone gotten anything for public input?
Do we want to, did we say all approve? Sorry, I was writing. Did everyone approve those?
Yes.
Okay.
So no one's gotten any public input?
I have not.
Okay. PTO update. Okay. We met here before we met PTO last, right?
You were just going to have elections.
Okay. So Tanya Prentice is the new chair. Alicia and Beth are staying vice chair. Amy and I are co-treasuring. Mindy wins again to be the teacher rep.
Woohoo!
And Heather Milligan is the new parent rep. Is that all the seats, or am I forgetting something?
Haley,
Secretary
and
Haley, right?
Haley's secretary, but that's the second part of the term.
Yep.
So that is the new board.
And you said that was Heather Milligan?
Yeah.
Thought you were going to try to get away from that, Miss Vanessa. That was how you could keep Amy, though, right?
What? That was why
Was
what?
that how you could keep Amy?
Yes. I think that was really it that we discussed, right? We need to like have a PTO meeting and plan once we can plan for something to plan for.
I know that I did give input on pictures and yearbooks. Speaking of which, I don't know that this is the place for that necessarily, but I have gotten additional emails I forwarded on to you guys about the yearbook that they really want us to sign that contract. So I didn't know if you guys were waiting for your next meeting to decide if we're going with Life Touch, or if I should just go ahead and say, yes, we're doing the yearbook with Life Touch.
I would assume we're waiting for a next meeting, but I am not sure that we would change who we're using anyway.
I just hadn't heard back after I emailed all of the board. Nobody sent me anything back. So I wasn't sure if that was gonna be discussed or if it was a, yes, just do it, but nobody said just do it. So
I'll poke around and see if I can get an answer. Ask about books. Okay.
And when is your next meeting? Do you know, for PTO? No? Okay.
And I think that's it for that. On to principals report.
do you want me to do the enrollment update now?
Yes, please.
Sure, why not?
So as of last week, Friday, we had all seats in K through 5 filled. And still working on filling the remaining 14 seats in kindergarten. One of
What?
the things-
What?
well, not kindergarten, 6th grade. Excuse me, Mindy. Sorry about that.
I am not teaching kindergarten.
In our second kindergarten.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Andy Ratliff, who is part of OMB, and asked him what the impact to our budget would be based on our current enrollment. And so one of the things that he talked about was we are just on the bubble of the hold harmless threshold for small schools. So interestingly enough, if we are at 165 at count, the impact to our budget would be a negative $24,000. If we are at 166 or higher at count, the impact to our budget would be a negative $92,000 to our budget. So one student more gives us $68,000 less.
So long.
There are so many things that come to mind here with that statement, but
Well,
So
I mean,
we don't want to fill sixth grade. Just
a
kidding.
lot of it has to do with the funding formula and everything beyond the base student allocation. And so they do have a small schools consideration for their budget because you still have this pretty much the same amount of overhead to run a school, but with larger numbers of kiddos, you can spread that across more students. So there is a nice little benefit to being a small school. And then there isn't.
So with those numbers, because I just haven't done the math, what does that mean that we have for students?
We
right
are at,
now?
we are looking at either 165 or 166. We are exactly at those two numbers right now.
So go take down the sandwich boards. Just kidding.
Come
Well,
back up in November.
PTO needs to hop on that.
Hmm.
And then the rest of my report is pretty simple. The other thing on there I wanted to let you know is that our hot water heater finally died after limping through the part of the fall and the spring. And that was replaced on the 29th at the expense of our landlord. And I also met with the owner of Commercially Clean, who we have the contract to do our janitorial services. He initially wanted to actually renegotiate services because of the new sanitation and disinfecting protocol, but we took a really close look at that contract, and it includes disinfecting and sanitizing all of the tabletops every day. So I didn't see how using the spray mister was actually going to be any different. In fact, it was going to save him time from having to wipe down every single desk and tabletop. So that conversation went really well. And then I included in the email or my documents email from the charter school that was looking for support for funding. And so they actually have written a resolution in, I was wondering if any schools are interested in supporting that or tagging on to that.
So with the information about our count and being on that bubble, is that as we fall under ASD, but this would be charter schools would be kept separate? Do you know how the dynamics of that would work?
Daryl, I think it's my understanding if the district was going to look at the hold harmless this year for enrollment, that they were going to ask for all of their schools.
Correct.
Okay.
If the district qualifies, all schools qualify, including the charters.
But that letter, would that affect us the same way? No, depending on whether we were at the 165, 166? Is that like a state thing that sets those numbers?
That I don't know. I think to me, I saw the appeal that went out from the Homer principal. I think it would be more an issue of solidarity. I don't know, as one of the things we're learning as we talk to different charters across the state, that they're treated differently in some ways. Boards do different things with their charters. We know that from talking to Andy, that if our district is going to be held harmless, that will include the charters. So what I don't know is Homer, is that school district asking to be held harmless? And if they are, will they carry, kind of umbrella the charter school within it as well? I really don't, I think my short answer is I really don't think it will impact you one way or the other, but we can look into that.
But I guess my question was, if it was a hold harmless thing, that applies, the same number configuration applies no matter if that was through this charter school thing or through ASD. It's the same number, so we're still on that bubble of the 165, 166.
Yeah, I have to assume that the formula is the same no matter what.
Okay.
And then the other thing, sorry, that's my children's school with an attendance notice for my ASD virtual students who aren't supposed to be doing attendance. I get that every day. The other thing on there is the staffing update, and that's another agenda item. I didn't know if you wanted me to update you now.
Vitamin C.
Well, we have hiring committee update.
Can you not split vitamin C?
Would it go under there, or is
Can
it
you
something?
not really split vitamin C? Why?
It could. I mean, that's the update.
Okay, let's do it there then. Do you have anything else on your that you wanted to share, or anything anyone had questions on the principal's report? No questions? Does anyone have anything for her that's not on her report?
Yes, I'd like to know when we're getting those massages.
When
that
I can get
no.
approval to spend the funds.
I give you approval.
So-
You can't speak for the entire board, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Gosh, darn it.
So this kind of goes along with the blue ribbon. I sent the article that ASD put on our on the webpage to Spalding, and just gave them a little history background of our school, and how, you know, Spalding has just had such an impact on why we are the way we are and why we do what we do. And quite a few years ago, I think it was when Mary Mead was our principal, the board had me write up a proposal to become a Spalding accredited school. And it was voted against because of the fact that it would cost a lot of money to become accredited through Spalding. And I got a reply today to my email. Sorry, our little alarm's going off. But they are encouraging us to relook at that, because now I'm an instructor. They want so many teachers in the school to be Spalding certified master teachers, which really all of our teachers are, but they have to have proof of that. And so and this is what kind of turned everybody off before, is they want like 5 lessons taught and recorded and then sent to Spalding. They analyze them, they give you feedback, and which becomes very pricey because they charge you to watch analyze each of those videos. But she said, since, you know, that I'm an instructor, a teacher instructor at our school, that would be a big advantage, because then I could do 3 of those for each of the teachers that we needed to do. I could be the one to watch and analyze and work with them. And so then the last 2 videos would have to be sent off for analysis, the Spalding Headshed. But anyway, they were very excited and very proud and wanted to know more and just kind of put that bug in my ear. So I am gathering more information on price, the cost of that, and the benefit of that. And I thought that I would get it maybe on the next agenda so that we can discuss relook at that and see if we'd like to do that.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Will the current videos that teachers are recording count?
You know,
Quit.
the only thing, because I had to do all of that to become an instructor, and they want to see like a whole lesson, like your whole block, with you not cutting and pausing and you not splicing it.
Oh,
They want to see everything, whereas we're not teaching that way on our videos because that's way too long for a second grader to sit and watch, or a fourth grader to sit and watch. So probably not.
so could we potentially do that when we do return to in-person, and we were going to continue to Zoom our sessions for our students that we're going to do Eagle Academy online still?
That would be the perfect opportunity because we're doing that anyway. So I can get the information, and if we get a date that we're coming back sooner rather than later, we can try to push that along if that's what we decide to do.
Another maybe other option would be if they don't want it spliced, but the teacher could still record the 90 minutes and then cut and splice the recording for the students, if that worked out. I don't know how that would work out the opposite way, but if we end up, like not going back to school this year, in that situation is what I'm thinking of.
Hush your mouth.
I know, I want us back now, but just, we have to think ahead.
Well, that's
All right.
great, Missy. I actually looked into some of the requirements that they had online when I first accepted the position last year, and I really wondered why you weren't Spalding a certified school.
Yeah, it was a couple reasons, cost being one, but also at that time they were telling us every teacher would have to do that. Now they're saying they're breaking it into chunks, like a kindergarten K1 would be together, so one of those teachers would have to do it, 2, 3 would be together, and they even would let me double dip since I'm already an instructor. So, and then 4, 5, and 6 would have to have one teacher. And, a lot of teachers who go through the training only take it once. Most of our teachers have been through both trainings multiple times. She was very impressed because, our teachers just want to polish up. So definitely I will look into that further. And at the next meeting, I'll be ready to report on it.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else for Deanne or questions on her principal's report? Okay, on to Special Standards Committee update.
I have nothing to report.
Yeah, that's kind of taken a back burner to the rest of my life these days.
I don't know why. All right, on to hiring committee update.
Okay, I guess you want me to talk?
You talk, Missy.
Okay, so I believe the last meeting, had we hired Mrs. Caldwell for a 3rd grade TA? Okay, and so we've done a few more interviews. We had one more interview. We had a no-show, and we just haven't found anybody that we feel would be a good fit, or we haven't gotten references back on them. So right now we're kind of at a standstill and we're just seeing, we were hoping to come back, to school, and then maybe more parents would want to apply for it who are familiar with our program. Then we could have some more choices out there that we might actually be able to hire.
I did look on MLP yesterday and there were 2 new candidates. So if you would like me to schedule sometime this week, I know that Thursday and Friday, oh no, next week, Thursday and Friday, we're doing parent teacher conferences, but if Thursday and Friday would work for the team, I can schedule some. Well, maybe Friday would be good to give the candidates a couple of days to hopefully research the school and learn more about our program and figure out where we actually are.
I'm not sure about Mindy, but just trying to prepare for parent teacher conferences plus keep my Canvas up and going. I would kind of like to push it back until after next week.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely want to get a TA in there as soon as possible, but I'm honestly very swamped right now.
Mindy, you're okay with that? What?
Yeah, I still have my TA, so I'm good.
Mrs. Caldwell has been amazing. She is working with second and third grade, and right now things are working out really well.
If you need my Stacy, just let me know. I'll share.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And is that all you were going to share?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, old business. Review policies and procedures manual. I finally updated it. I think I updated all of it. And I sent it out last night. If you guys want to go through it now.
Sorry, I just sent my comments. I had forgotten to send them, but nothing major.
Well,
I thought
you can share them here if you want.
I know. I was like, well, this is awkward. How do I? Now, my only comments on it, I feel like we should define what we're going to call the school up front. And then, because throughout it's like Eagle Academy, EACS, Eagle Academy Charter School. So, like right at the beginning, decide, the school will be termed XYZ throughout, and then use that consistently. And then the same for ASD. We use like ASD, Anchorage School District, Anchorage Schools. Just maybe pick one format and roll with it.
I also, so when I believe it was under where you're listing titles, like all of the TAs, and you had Heather under second grade and third grade was to be determined, that's actually opposite.
Oh, it's opposite. Okay.
Yeah, Heather is,
No.
Oh, yes, that's
be careful.
a good catch.
And the caveat on the same area, you have everybody's grade level listed there except for Catherine's. If I remember correctly. Hold on, let me find it.
Yep. And Susan is just in kindergarten and Barb is first grade.
That's old. They used to rotate those two positions. Fixed.
You have on there, not sure if this is correct about the teacher duty day. I thought it was 8 to 4, but I could totally be wrong.
Well, I say I'm not sure if this is correct because of our 20-minute waiver. So we don't have the same, whatever requirement they have to be like before and after. 20 minutes of that is student contact time instead, because our 20 minutes of extra student contact time does not make the teacher's day 20 minutes longer, just student contact time. So I wasn't sure if that 8:10 start and 4:10 end is correct or not.
It is for me.
We still have the
Start
same
time
7.5 hour workday with the half an hour duty-free lunch.
You still have what?
It's a 7.5 hour workday with a 30-minute duty-free lunch, so it's the same 8 hours. So
Right,
I'm
but
sure you would rather have 8:10.
well, I'm saying I'm not sure that even belongs on the schedule at all, is what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean that teacher, the
Yeah.
student? Yeah, it's
Teacher
the
duty day
student
beginning in the
schedule.
future, because it doesn't, right? You could come in at 8 and then you would leave at 4, or you could come, right? There is no like, you have to be here you have to stay until. There isn't that, correct?
True, but as a substitute, whenever you get sent your duty day and your assignment, like when I sub at other schools, it always says 8:30 to 4, even though I don't ever stay till 4 because what sub needs to stay for a half hour after they leave. But when I sub there, it always says 8 to 4.
So Missy, has it
I'm
always been
just
8:10?
making a statement. I don't care what you list, but
Yeah, it's been 8 to 4 ever since I can remember.
Okay.
But then, of course, there is that flexibility too.
right.
I just didn't know if we wanted to put it in here or not, because most of the stuff in our school policy and procedures manual is coming from the charter, and the charter definitely doesn't define when they're supposed to be here. So I would think a teacher start and end time would belong more in the staff handbook than what a parent would be looking at. What time does my kid need to be at school? Okay, 8:10 to 8:20, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it in there. It's just going to cause confusion. Just that the school day starts at this time for students and it ends at this time. I will throw that out on the table. So then we don't end up with this whole discussion that we just had.
And it's not on the website either. It's just a student day we have for the website.
So are you all okay with taking it out of here?
Mhm.
Sorry, I was talking. I think so, but since I got this yesterday, I haven't had a chance to look over it. So I reserve the right to send you any emails with any suggestions, because I'm not going to have time to look through it all specifically necessarily today. If everyone else has already had a chance, I'm generally okay with what everybody says. But
Okay. And this isn't for Daryl's clarity. We're not going through and editing the policies. I mean, we kind of are for little things, but it was mostly because last year we had a procedure, like a election procedure, we defined that, and then had 2 policy changes that we followed our normal policy change procedure, but hadn't updated it. So we were doing that after
Thank you.
the end of the year got crazy.
Your handbook is, yours to do. It's your bylaws and charter and all the other stuff that we need to know about.
And we did not edit those. Did
Sure.
anyone?
Are we needing to like approve this or something, or is this just informational at this point?
We do need to approve it at some point.
So if everybody else has had a chance to read it, I would just ask if that we table that approval till next time so that I have a chance to look through it, make sure I'm good with everything, but we don't have to sit here if I'm the only one who's reading through it all right now.
Do we want to table it for next time?
Up to you
Yeah.
guys.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yes. Okay. Election committee update.
So the election committee didn't really meet. However, I did email Mindy some stuff. Mindy, did you get a chance to look at the stuff I emailed you?
I did. It looked really great. I was looking at that before the meeting. That's when I finally made the time.
Okay, so I looked more at the stuff that Vanessa had sent us from the survey.
Simply
Whatever.
voting.
Simply Voting, yeah. And I put together a rough timeline. So I'm going to see if this works, just so everyone can see. My copy and paste doesn't always work very good. Let's see if it works in the comments here. No.
Do you want me to make you a co-host so you can share your screen?
I don't know. Look in your chat and see if that just works.
Also, I sent some. I see what you sent. Bleh.
Okay, so this is the rough timeline that I came up with. If it works, I had a couple of questions based on how we would convert it to paper voting versus electronic voting, and what our election procedure and stuff says. So I said that on like next Monday, the 12th, we could put out that we have APB openings and ask for candidates to return applications. Perhaps we could encourage our teachers at parent-teacher conferences to say, by the way, there's an APB opening. If you'd like to apply, do that. And then we also would need to verify email addresses to use to vote. And I don't know what ASD's format is, if you can just put them in an Excel spreadsheet of the primary email address for the student, because our policy is that we only allow one vote per household. So if we had 3 students in the same household, they still only get one vote. So they would all have to have the same primary email address. So those families that have split, it would still just go to that primary email. So do you know, Deanne, if that is something that is a possibility?
We can get you any kind of data that you would like.
Well, I know that you can get it, but like, so that you don't have to manually type everyone in, is that like a report that you could possibly generate?
Yeah, we'll probably have to print out a pivot table and then edit out any duplicates or, make sure that it's just one per household.
Okay, so
Jennifer, are you going to type each one of those emails in?
that's what I'm hoping to avoid. So like if it can be in an Excel spreadsheet, I'm assuming that, and that was part of my question, because unless I know what ASD has and what Simply Voting uses, I don't know how those two different groups will merge the information. However, I believe Vanessa said that there are other schools within ASD that have used this. So I'm assuming that they probably have something figured. And they said that their IT people can try to help integrate information that we would have. So as long as we have a list, and like if it was in a Excel spreadsheet type thing, I would assume that they would be able to just integrate that.
So can I ask you, is the survey, that's how you want parents to vote, correct?
It
Simply Voting isn't a survey. It's like an online election program. So it would send an email and we would give them a key that we want someone's like passcode to be so that they can tell that person logged in, they only voted one time. So we would have to get them all of that information.
So it's not just a link that you can put in so that they can do all of that through a link?
Well,
Well,
they
it
would
might-
get an email with
Yeah.
a link that would take them to that, and that it would just take them right to the ballot and they would be able to enter it.
Well, could you not do it through Q? Because I think in Q you can tag like I can go through my class because that's all I have access to in Q. But I believe I can check that the email goes just to the primary email that is on each child's.
So I'm assuming that that is going to be a possibility. I just didn't know for sure, but I would assume that that would be something that ASD would have to be able to put together a list like that.
So
And
we
then that
can.
list would go to simply voting.
Mhm.
But the deal is that we're not supposed to know what anyone votes, so they have to be anonymous. So they would receive that, and then they would send those emails out, and we would not have a way to link necessarily this person voted this way.
It's probably going to auto generate a pass key for each of those emails that we don't know what the pass keys are to. So that's going to be confidential or anonymous. And they'll just let us know how many of those 120 families actually voted, but we won't know which of those families actually voted. So we can generate a pivot table in an Excel spreadsheet of just the primary emails, and we can probably even convert it to a CVS file for you, or
Okay.
CSV file.
Yeah, and I would assume that that would be a very compatible format for them to be able to use to create it.
Mhm.
So, but I figured we would have about 2 weeks while we're collecting applications to finalize that list, get it together. Then we would close the
But
application.
we also need to let them know if we want to use them, and it has a cost. So we're going to have to pick how much we want to implement it or how much we want them to implement it, because there's like a range of prices. So I'm
I'm getting
just on
there.
your timeline, since we haven't done that, we might need to like shift the dates.
Well, so they said that if we got all of the information, then they would need to have 5 to 7 days before the vote would be able to be set up. So that's why I closed it on this 26th, and then would have voting the 8th through the 14th for 1 week, I assumed. I don't know if we wanted a full week or just a day or two. And then online it said that then the result would be made immediately public. So I emailed and said, because our policy says that we receive the result and then we acknowledge it as a board, and then our chair or her delegate would then contact the candidates and let them know the result before we post it, if that would be possible. And he said, yes, that would be possible. Whoever your election manager is, who's coordinating it all and setting it all up, would be able to choose whether or not that would be online and public. And then, let's see. So their official thing on their explanation of what all this says with the email addresses of your eligible voters, you can send out a mass email using our email blast feature containing a link to the ballot, as well as unique secure authentication credentials to each eligible voter. This email can also contain a direct vote link with unique authentication credentials encrypted into it. Thus, all the voter has to do is click on the link and they will be automatically authenticated and eligible to vote in any ongoing elections. So that's their summary of how it works. Now let me pull up my other screen here. And then, like Vanessa said, there are the different costs. So they have one that, when I can find it, apologize for my dogs. Somebody just drove into our driveway. So a single cost for a single election is $200, and that's for 250 electors or voters or less. Then there are the additional is to do a fully managed election is $500 per election. I personally did not feel that what the explanation of what they would be doing in a fully managed election would be worth the cost of $500 extra. They have a list of what they would be doing in a fully managed election. We would fill out a checklist. We would give them the ballot content of everything that we would want to type up and show who the candidates are. We can show pictures of them if we wanted. Print out the email blast wording. So we're already doing all of that work. Provide them the elector list in a spreadsheet format, which we would then also be doing all that work. Then we would have the access to the election manager tool and remain a point of contact for anything come in. And then what they would do, they would manage the setup of the election event to whatever specifications we decided, coordinate to provide previews and samples, coordinate additionally purchased premium services, manage the distribution of email blasts, report on mid-election turnout and report on post-election results, and monitor the election as it proceeds. However, since our election is going to be so small with less than 250, less than 150 possible votes, and we know that in the past we haven't had a huge turnout on votes, that we're going to have 1, 2, 3, I think 4 positions on our ballot. We're lucky if we get a candidate for each of those positions. Like, hopefully we'll have 2 candidates for each of those positions. So I don't really feel spending an extra $500 for them to do all of that. Like, if we were doing a huge election, then yes, I could see the benefit of that. But to pay $200 just for the voting and then $500 on top of that, I didn't feel was necessarily beneficial to our needs and purposes. So I would recommend the $200 to do the vote, to do the election, and then Mindy and I would be the ones that would be able to manage it and make sure all that stuff was entered and put in.
Did they give you a price for multiple elections for a year?
They have a 1-year plan, but I don't think it said anything about, it covers up to 10 elections in a year.
Oh.
And that's $334.
Because we are going to have to do a spring election, so it might be worth it for just this year to do that, since it's cheaper than $400.
And theoretically, once we do it the first time, we'll already know exactly what to do, and it will go a lot smoother the second time.
It'll go smooth this time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So as long as my election committee agrees, and I haven't proposed this timeline, like Vanessa said, to simply voting yet. So if they needed more time for something, it may alter it. But I would assume that because the initial one is not the election stuff that they would have to do, it would not have to be set up until November 8th. So we have several weeks to do that. I don't think that would be an issue, that as long as we're able to communicate with them, then we'll get it set up. but then we can have the information to go in the newsletter, the Eagle Express, posted on the Facebook page, and ask for candidates, and hopefully send out an email to all of the teachers and encourage them to invite candidates during parent-teacher conferences if they're able to do that. So my proposal would be follow this this listed timeline and do the $334 for the 1-year plan of simply voting. That sound good, my election committee partner?
It sounds amazing.
Awesome.
Would anyone like to make a motion for that?
I will make a motion that we purchase the Simply Voting program for 1 year in the amount of whatever it was, $334?
Yeah.
Okay. To hold APB elections.
I'll second that.
Do we also need to include something about the timeline of the dates? I don't know if we need to or not.
Jennifer, I can send out in this Fridays, because it's just a difference between over the weekend. If you get me the information for the seats and then the paperwork for the ballots as a PDF file, I can attach that to this Friday's email. And then once we get candidates, if we can get candidate profiles, I can put that in the newsletter also.
All right.
So does our motion need to include the dates? I didn't know if it did or not.
I don't think so.
Daryl, what do you think? Does it need to have the dates in it? No? Okay. So the motion on the table is to purchase Simply Voting to use for our APB elections for 1 year at the cost of $334. And it was seconded, so all in favor. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes.
So in order to do that $334, how do I go about paying for that? Like, is that something that I can have him send an invoice to Tamara and have him pay that way?
Have him send it to me and then I can, we'll contact them and make a payment over the phone with our P card.
Okay. And then Vanessa, do you by chance have a digital version of the candidate? You know, I want to apply for this position and I want to fill out whatever that form is, the candidate form.
Application.
I think I sent it to you guys. It should be a PDF, but it was a while ago.
I will look for that then.
But yes, I do. And I can edit it with the date if you want, if you don't have PDF editor.
I don't have PDF editor.
I might have that. I don't know. I haven't used it if I do.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to put it with the 10/26? Wait.
That the applications are due on the 26th.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and we did enrollment update during the principal's report. So on to new business, Chromebooks and cart, which Deanne sent us information about.
Yeah.
And an updated one yesterday, today.
The updated one was this morning because I had something missing on there, and then I also had something that was double ledgered. So it looks like this. It's got the graph of the our COVID fund budget so far and how much we've spent and the estimated that was provided to us by OMB. And then I think in the back of that, I attached the ASD Stores Technology Catalog. So it shows you the price per Chromebook and then the price for the actual cart itself.
So
one of
I
the-
only have one of those that came at 4 o'clock yesterday. I don't have one from today.
She was like forwarding it or replying to my policies and procedures manual email. So that is the subject of the email.
So the difference is basically about $400 in the total cost or what we've spent so far. I think the first one was 1680 something and this one was 296.
I found it. Thanks.
Okay. So one of the things that you know we just don't know yet is when we're coming back into session. And then when we do come back into session, how long we're going to be in session and whether or not we're going to be able to recoup all 67 of the Chromebooks that we currently have out to students. I think intent with the state is as of now, because they haven't made any official determinations otherwise, is that we will be doing, well, the district is going to be doing our fall universal screeners. They're going to happen online, whether or not we're in session or we're online. And then with the state-wide assessments, I don't know what the plan is for that. Those are online assessments, but they need to be proctored. And I'm not sure that there's any plan right now. I haven't heard from the state as far as allowing those to be proctored by parents in the homes. So when we do come back, we're going to need Chromebooks for assessments. And so what many schools in the district are doing is they are ordering Chromebook carts right now so that they have, at least they know of one or two working carts that they can actually use with students when we return to in-person instruction for assessments. Because we don't have any idea yet of how many of our Chromebooks are going to come back needing maintenance and service and how functional they will be. I'm going to venture to guess that once we do return to in-person instruction, that's going to be a very fun task for everybody in the district to recoup those devices and then make sure that they're all functioning perfectly for assessments. And Daryl, can you help me remember, is it 14,000 devices that they sent out?
I don't, I don't recall the number,
Okay.
Dan. A lot.
And so if everybody's bringing them back, I don't think that they have enough technicians to service that many devices that are going to need assistance. So my recommendation would be that you consider purchasing a Chrome cart and knowing that it'll probably be 3 to 4 months before we even get them, because there's a production backlog worldwide. So the information I sent out, it looks like it'll cost us just a little under $10,000 for a Chrome cart with 35 Chromebooks in it. And so that's why I gave you an update on the COVID budget as of now, so that you can have an idea of what funding has been expended and what is potentially still available.
So remind me, does that potential available come based on the number of students that will come through the October count?
Mm-hmm.
So is that with the numbers based on last October count, or was that based on what we are 165, 166?
It's based on the 176 that we projected. So
do-
we're not going to get $44,000. I don't know how much we're going to actually get from the district, but right now we've expended 17,000 of the projected 44,000. I'm gonna venture to guess that we could probably divide that 44,000 by
That's what I just did.
176.
So it would be like 41,000.
Right, if we divided the 44 by 176 and then multiplied that by 165, that would be a round ballpark figure of what we could expect.
And this Chrome carts would count into this COVID
Yeah.
expenses.
Correct. So I think it's roughly about $250 a student. So we would look at what Vanessa said about 41.
So that would, if it was purchased, leave us about 14,000 estimated left.
Do we anticipate that there would be other needs of the COVID funds, of things that we may need to, or are you feeling pretty confident in you have what you think you need for the year?
I'm confident that we have what we need as far as getting our building in place and PPE and our desk dividing shields for teachers and TAs when they're working with kiddos within close proximity. You know, whatever money we have left, I'd really like to throw in. So the sheet right here, I have these 3 items here are really instructional focused rather than facility focused. And I'd like to be able to use the balance after, you know, depending on whether or not you decide we get a Chrome cart on instruction and maybe personnel and looking at hiring some TAs or tutors to help our kiddos that are struggling.
Ian, is there a deadline that the money has to be spent? I thought I recall hearing.
I believe it's just for this academic year. So whatever we don't use for the school year is going back to either the state or.
Okay, I thought there was a date like the end of this year, but that's not true. That must have been something else. Okay.
And I'm not sure, Daryl, did I hear correctly that the district has used the majority of theirs, whatever they had or they were out?
I haven't heard that, Dan. I'm looking for Andy's email right now to look at if there was a deadline or not.
Okay.
And then this reimbursement would happen theoretically after the count happens. So after they finalize the number.
Right. So they have the account codes in IFAS right now that we are charging these to, but they have not funded those account codes because we don't know yet, you know, what our account will be. And as soon as they get that in place and the state transfers that COVID fund to the district, then they'll fund those for us.
So we should know by our November meeting the exact amount we're getting. Is that correct, or is that too soon to know since our count date is October 26th?
We generally don't get an official count back from the district until sometime in December, I think. Because that goes, they send all of their reports to the state, and then the state does all of their reconciling and accounting, and it's not a quick turnaround. Because they just told us, I think in August, what our funding was for last year officially. And so we got a little bit more funding based on all of the things that were going on, and that went straight into our unallocated reserve.
So does anyone, sorry, I have something like in my eye and I can't find it. Does anyone want to make a motion? And we don't necessarily need to vote on it if everyone isn't ready to vote on it, but does anyone want to make a motion?
I will make a motion that we use the allocated funds for COVID to purchase a Chrome cart and 30 Chromebooks.
35.
And I would specify the CARES Act.
Oh, the
allocation.
CARES Act, sorry.
Isn't it 34 or
Says
30?
35 in her thing.
35 then, okay, sorry. A Chrome cart with 35 Chromebooks.
In the amount of question mark or no?
I don't know, whatever DM projected, 9 something.
Well, do you need that? That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
I think if we have the number of what we're ordering, that's okay.
Yeah. So
Unless we want to put like up to.
Well, so full disclosure, I worked with IT to get this list, but the IT person sent me a link that had the Chromebooks at a little bit less than $240 a Chromebook. And then I have this list, and I was really happy because it looked like the real number was going to be less than what is on the stores list. And then I got a list from Hassan Harrington, who's the director of operations for IT, and his number was more than the $240. So his number came back at $270 a Chromebook instead of $240. So the actual amount is gonna vary based on the market value at the time they actually purchase it. So
Not like it's toilet paper.
And
so you might want to say not to exceed a certain amount if you're concerned it's going to be too expensive.
And I know that, I don't know how it goes when you're ordering a large number like this, but we had ordered Chromebooks and computers, had paid for it, and then they said, oh, just kidding, we don't have that. We're canceling your order and refunding you your money. So they were still willing to take our money at first, and then they're like, oh, we just don't have it.
Right. And so the district is getting ready to put in another large bulk order. And that's why I wanted to get this on the agenda for approval as soon as possible so that we could get in on that bulk order, because the larger, the more they order, the less the cost is per device. So if we had to order on our own, it would be a small standalone order out there in a sea of another 5,000 to 10,000 machines. And it'll be less likely that our, 35 machines will get processed first.
Okay, so do we want to redo this motion or add to the motion? I don't know what.
Mindy, if you want to amend it and say not to exceed a certain dollar amount, the math on that one I think is 10,480. So if we want to not exceed to like 11,000 or 12,000 or something.
let's go not to exceed 12,000. That'll give us a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay, so what I have down is
I will,
Mindy made a motion to use CARES Act allocated funds to purchase a Chrome cart with 35 Chromebooks not to exceed $12,000.
yes, that's what I made a motion for.
I will
Would any-
second it.
All right, so it is open for discussion.
I think it would be a worthwhile purchase, knowing what happens in my home with devices. I don't know that how many we're gonna be able to bank on that are gonna come back and usable, available things. And if we're able, I mean, we had talked about getting one before, and if we're able to have the CARES Act help purchase it, and theoretically it will have a long life. I mean, it's not just a one-time use. We will use the Chromebooks repeatedly. That I think that it would be beneficial for our school.
What she said.
Well, I mean, and this is what the money's for.
So from my opposing viewpoint, I think using the funds for this for needing to replace one, that we might be getting back a whole cart not working is a good use of funds. But what I don't want to see, which is why some of us voted no on it, and I am not alone on that's why we voted no on it last time, is that we didn't want 3 full carts that we're always replacing 3 full carts. So I wouldn't want to see this turn into 3 classrooms expecting that they're always going to have a full set of Chrome carts in their classroom, but that it is truly being used as a backup, expecting that we're going to need to replace what we do have already. That's my opinion.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't agree with it because I don't feel like we've had to replace that many Chromebooks in the time that we've had both the Chromebook carts because they have been here. They're not allowed to be checked out. As far as I know, we've only had to place 1 or 2 of the Chromebooks in the, I don't know, 8, 9 years we've had Chromebook carts.
I guess I don't know what you think that I was saying.
I guess I just don't understand why it's not going to be able to be used as another classroom Chromebook cart. If we have it.
I'm
we should be
saying
able to
I
use
don't
it.
want this to be our new base of we need to be expected to always have 95 Chromebooks is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying if 30 Chromebooks come back damaged, yeah, that should definitely replace those 30 Chromebooks that come back damaged. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't want it to be our new expectancy to always be having 95 Chromebooks.
I understand. Okay.
And I would agree with that. I think an addition is that we have no idea how long it's going to take to actually get them. So if we did have 30 Chromebooks come back damaged, then at that point, then we're still theoretically several months out before we would get replacement. So this would be jumping the gun, but I agree of not setting the standard as now we have 3 full Chromebooks and this is what we're going to keep. We're using this because we are anticipating that we are going to have issues when Chromebooks come back. I agree with that.
And I also think that we have to stay true to our charter because we don't have a charter that focuses on technology use. We're more back to basics. Not that we don't teach technology, not that we don't use technology, but it's not a focus in our classrooms. And I think that's why one of the reasons why, we're very successful. I feel like our students are very well-rounded in the amount of technology that we do use. So that's my 2 cents with it.
All right. Does anyone feel comfortable voting? Does anyone want to sit on it? What are we?
I can vote.
I'd be good to vote.
What about you,
I
Missy?
recommend that
Casey?
you vote.
Yeah, I'm ready to vote. That's fine.
Okay. Jennifer, can you read the motion on the table one more time?
Mindy made a motion to use CARES Act allocated funds to purchase a Chrome cart with 35 Chromebooks not to exceed $12,000. And Paige seconded.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. The motion passes. On to Saxon math materials. Deanne, I'm going to let you head that one.
In May, we got an email from Saxon notifying us that they are going to be discontinuing the 2012 edition in 2021, which is coming up. And then they're going to be retiring the Saxon 2018 edition in 2024. And so there are timelines for when print materials are going to be accessible. So are we currently, Mindy, using the 2018 version or the 20? I'm gonna venture to guess we're using the 2012 version.
Right now,
Well, we haven't ordered any new books and
we have the
Like-
2012.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we're facing the same situation that we faced with our science curriculum in that it is being phased out. The major difference is that Saxon is actually written into the charter specifically. I mean, the science was listed in the charter, but the math curriculum is a huge chunk of our academic program. And so if you're going to want to be continuing with Saxon throughout the duration of this current charter, which we have another 9 years on, I would recommend that we buy at least one full class set of new books, and those could be phased in as books get tattered and need to be replaced. And then 3 to 5 years of your consumables that we replaced every year. Any more than that, we're going to have to ask the PTO to politely rent a storage space, one of those storage units for all of the PTO stuff so that we can actually store the curriculum materials for Saxon in our gym closet. I doubt that we would be able to get 10 years worth, but depending on how creative the APB wants to be, I'm pretty sure that we can manage that.
So kindergarten and first and second don't have an actual book, right? It's just the
And third.
consumables.
Yeah. Well, I say third because I teach third grade math, but
I'm talking about
Yeah.
grade in our school.
yeah.
No, Missy, you teach second grade math. You're just using a third grade curriculum to teach your standards.
My standards and exceed my standards.
Exactly.
Let me reword that.
Thank you.
And are there any consumables for then Eagle Academy's 3rd through 7th grade math?
No consumables.
Okay. So we're looking at 3 to 4 years for K1, 2, but then a whole classroom set for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably not a classroom set for 7.
No. Are we
you-
sticking with the 2012?
Well, and therein lies the other question. Is we can currently get 2012? But that, according to the email, the print materials are going to be sold until July 2021. But that's, that's considering that they're going to continue to print them. I don't know if they just anticipating have a stock, enough on hand already. So if we're going to continue with 2012, I'd like to recommend that we start ordering those right away, just to make sure that we can actually get our hands on new books, because it was a considerable, it wasn't a nightmare, but it was a challenge for Tamara to go and get all of the used science books that we could find still out there.
Deanne, is it possible for you to do some research to see the differences between the 2012 and 2018, or has
That's what
that
I was going to say. I would want to see samples to make sure that the content didn't go too far to a methods we don't really, why we picked Saxon, if that makes sense. I don't want to be doing 13 minus 10, 10 minus 4 to get the answer of 13 minus 7. I saw
Well-
that on the internet somewhere and I still don't understand it.
So are you asking me to get some resources so that you can compare 2012 to 2018?
I think that, I mean, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the, the difference.
Is
Okay.
there a newer one than 2018? Because you said the 2018 will be retiring in 2024.
No, they're just not going to do Saxon anymore.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Jennifer, your face was priceless. Did they say why? Just not enough usage, or?
Probably just not enough usage.
There's
Well,
probably
don't let
plenty of
wear a blue
usage. We just
ribbon.
all have textbooks. We don't need to buy new textbooks.
Well, I know when we compared our last math curriculum, when we moved from the 5-6 to the course 1, course 2, course 3, there was not much difference. A few of the lessons had been changed, which I liked because then I knew I got those lessons before we did state testing. And then a few problems in the written practice changed, but the lessons were all still there and it was still set up the way that the previous book was, just a few minor differences.
So can I recommend that you put together a math curriculum review committee for the purpose of comparing Saxon Math 2012 to Saxon Math 2018. But you're only looking at 3 years of potentially being able to buy new books from your vendor, which is Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Eventually, they will stop printing and selling these in 2024. It's just that they're going to be producing the Saxon 2018 until 2024. They're going to stop producing the Saxon 2012 this year.
I would volunteer to head up that committee.
I just find this to be totally shocking with everybody blowing up with homeschooling all of a sudden, and the vast majority of homeschoolers using Saxon Math. And this is totally interesting.
Well, maybe this whole new era of education will change their mind.
Yeah, I was like, just when you go out here and read, I'm looking at every single homeschooling resource. That's what they all use.
Yep.
And
Vision,
Yeah,
I
it's not
think,
just
with
school,
me.
but it's the whole other part that they
Right.
have, the homeschool.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. This whole homeschool contingency.
well, and now that so many parents are having to help teach their children and have no clue how to help teach their children while they're at home, and they're reverting back to what they learned, which was more like Saxon Math, there maybe the Saxon will say, just kidding, we are going to continue on because now there's a demand for it again.
I think this decision to discontinue Sax was made long before our current situation.
That's probably true.
So if we were looking at the 2018, we would not just be looking at purchasing one set of books per class and 3 to 4 years of consumables, because we would be looking at changing the whole curriculum plan. So everyone would need the whole set plus backup.
Mhm.
So that, just as if we form that committee, that will be a point of keeping in mind that we're looking at buying stuff to get us through for the 2012 versus shifting everything for 2018.
Correct. You're going to buy what we currently have and some for 2018. So, I mean, my question to you is, considering how well our kids are doing with the instruction that we're currently providing with the 2012, how much more added value do you think you're going to get out of the 2018 for the amount of money that you're going to have to spend to double your textbook purchase?
I don't think it'll be there. I mean, the further it gets into somebody else owning it, other than the original people who wrote it, if you're not keeping the same writers, then the further you're getting from the original intent of the curriculum. So, I mean, for me, double purchasing everything. So essentially double the cost. To me, I don't think the value will be there.
Well, I am all on board for continuing to teach what I teach now, because I know it works. And I know that, the kids can meet those expectations. I was just curious as, what, is it, if it's a huge difference, have they changed a lot to meet more of what the other curriculums are doing, the newer math, the Go math, that type of thing. So.
And Deanne, do you have any cost about how much this 2012 would be to purchase the one class for 3 to 6? I'm assuming a few extra for 7, and the 3 to 4 years of consumables for K to 12, K to 2.
I did not source any quotes yet because I wasn't sure exactly what the board was going to want to do. So, before asking for quotes for both and kind of guessing at what we're going to really need, I wanted to start this conversation to let you know we should really get on the ball with trying to order things right away, and then finding a place to store them. And I don't know, Daryl, what Birchwood and Northern Lights ABC has been thinking about, and if we wanted to put in a larger bulk order to maybe save some money on shipping.
Yeah, I would call them. Aquarian also uses Saxon.
Okay. Because it would nice to save some money on shipping. That's usually the largest expense for
Yeah, that's a great idea, Deanne. I'd reach out to your colleagues, see what they're doing.
It cost me like $275 to ship all of Thomas and Rachel's books this year.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Missy, would you like me to see if I can get a 2018, or do you think that's just going to muddy the water for you?
I'm fine with sticking with what we're doing.
I just think you need to check with your 3rd through 6th graders to see how much of the original 30 needs to be replaced, and then do the other 30, because I've got some pretty bad books.
So like a set and a half,
Yeah,
kind of.
we're gonna go that way to have one set that is
Backup.
backup, and then the other set that we can use, because it's about time to retire a few books of mine.
So did the classrooms all have like a 30 set right now? So you have a few backup? Because right now all the students have the books at home, so there's no way for you to check them.
I have a complete 30 set of the course 2 for 6th level, and then I have 10 books for course 3, the 7th level. The biggest class I've ever had of 7th has been 7 students, so that still gave me like 3 extra.
So we can get a set of 30 and I'll ask the 3, is it 3 through 6?
3 through 6
Yes.
have the textbooks, yes.
And then how many currently need to be replaced? Or should be replaced?
And I would also, I'm not familiar with K through 2, so I can't speak that way, but I would also ask the 3 through 6 teachers resources that might need to be replaced, course assessments, answer keys, anything like that.
Well, they did say that the digital resources, well, I guess those are all online, so they're not discs. Okay.
Do we have access to those? Because I know that this new set didn't have a CD version.
Well, it says that the 2012 has digital resources are going to be sold until 12/30/20.
I'm not sure what that means. I know the first year we tried with the
No.
2012 for student books online.
It looks like it's online because then it's only going to be accessible till 20/31/21. So it's probably just an online thing. So Mindy, if you would give me a list of the supplemental resources that we need to purchase, I can have Tamara get us a quote for those.
Okay.
And could you do that for 3, 4, and 5? I'm assuming they're all going to be the same, right?
Yes. Do you want me just to talk with 3 through 6 and have them just report back to me and then give you all that
Yes.
information?
Missy, could you do the same for K1 too?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
And do we want, this is more of a question for Missy, for the consumables, is it better to have 5 years of sets versus making copies or anything?
What is the copyright?
Well, the copyright is basically you purchase it and you get the right to use it.
Okay,
So-
so
Um,
I already, if I need extra, make copies. So I would say we need a good digital set in case something gets lost, which I'm making a lot of digital sets doing online teaching. So I'm on my way to having a whole set digitally. But maybe a couple sets, and I don't, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Resources, we may want to order quite a few years of those because a lot of those charts are just 1 year. You can't use them because you actually write on them and they're large. So you can't copy them. You can't run them through the laminator. So.
Could we run them through the laminator at the UPS store? Because they've got a bigger laminator.
Probably, but still that's only good for, 2 or 3 years.
Oh, okay.
I have heard that you can print like engineer size prints for relatively cheap. I don't really know how that works, but like if you were wanting to try to find a way to reproduce them, I have heard that you can do engineer size prints.
So that might be good to have, a set that we use for that. Sure.
Okay, so do we want, Deanne, you're going to take what Mindy's getting you and getting a quote for all of that. So do we just want to have her get a quote for a 5 years worth of consumables for K?
Missy, if you would just let me know what you think we're
Okay.
going to need.
Do you have access, Deanne, since, I don't know, maybe you looked at this last year, do you have access or know where to find the list of everything for the grade levels? I just don't have time to go search all that out. That it's probably on an order form somewhere, because it might be easier to have that, and then I can go talk to the other teachers and say, okay, this is for K, this is for 2, this is for 1, this is what we think we need for the next 5 years.
You mean the order that we made for this coming year?
Absolutely,
last
yeah.
year? Okay,
Mhm.
I can get you the invoice
Give
for
me a-
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on that? Does that give you enough, Deanne?
Oh, yeah.
And then we had Blue Ribbon Award on here.
Yay, we need to throw a party.
I agree.
I sent in the know for the teachers today. The 2011 Blue Ribbon Schools committee or group got together, and they actually came up with a really long list of ways to celebrate. And so I sent those out to the teachers and staff today, and I asked if anybody wanted to put together or be a part of a small committee to figure out how we could celebrate, because I know that it's a challenge for us to be able to celebrate online. It would have been nice if we were getting our kids back in October, that we could kind of do an in-person celebration. But I think we're gonna, with that list, we can figure out a bunch of things that we can do to make it special for the school community. Because I really feel like our parents and our students need to be involved. It's a really heavy lift for our families. They are working really hard right now. I had a phone conversation with a parent this morning. She was a little overwhelmed and was asking for some exceptions to some of the work that her daughter was expected to do. And through conversation, we finally came to kind of the conclusion that she really needed to do everything, because that was sort of how our school is designed. We were just going to be flexible in the time frame in which she was going to have to do that. So I really feel like the parents, as much as our kids and our teachers, need some sort of celebration, an acknowledgement of how much work they're doing and how hard everybody has worked to get to where we're at.
I agree, especially because I think until I heard you were even submitting an application, I'd never even heard of this thing. So how many of our family members have no clue what this even means? That, yeah, I saw something in the newsletter, I saw something on Facebook about it, but it's not really driving home what it means that our school was selected for this award. So I think somehow trying to convey that is important, but I don't know how.
So the most fought over school district property in Texas, it all depends on if your elementary school is blue ribbon or not. And what people will pay to live next to a blue ribbon school is astonishing.
Really?
Oh,
Does that mean my property value is going up because I live 5 minutes away from school?
no, I'm not. I'm
You're
totally.
not known for
I'm
it.
not joking. I mean, I know y'all are kind of laughing. And I'm
No,
like,
no, I
I am
agree. I think that's
full
great.
dead on serious that bidding wars broke out in Terrytown, Austin, Texas, over any home, even any proximity to that zone for these blue ribbon elementaries. I mean, that is like, it's it's bigger than just the school itself. It's like great for a town. It's great for a city. It's a big deal.
Would you like to contact a news station, Casey? See if they'll do a little blurb for us?
I will do that. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, that's when I saw it. I'm like, oh, for the school is great, but let me tell you what it does for property values in Virginia and Texas. And, and since you're a charter school, you help everybody because everybody theoretically has the opportunity to attend or has the chance at it.
Do you need anything else from us on that? I know you had kind of mentioned banners before. Is that something you're still looking at? Do
I
you
did
need us
order a
for that?
banner,
Okay.
one of those vertical banners that retracts and stands up by itself. I figured we could put that in the foyer and in the gym when we have assemblies. And then also if we ever do any alternative school fairs and things like that, that we could take it with us. And then Mindy did ask for some funds to go to Washington DC, regardless
Yes.
of whether or not.
I
Whether or
want
not-
to go accept that award, and I will take it from Murkowski or Sullivan.
Well, it was really nice. I think when Dr. Bishop came out to visit, she did mention that that she would be willing to help us figure out a way to celebrate with Commissioner Johnson and potentially other higher ups in the state.
Do
So
we know, because originally they had said the award would be given on November 4th. Do we know what they're going to do? Are they doing virtual? Like, are we supposed to have something where
We are
they,
going to hold a virtual, the dates are on the Blue Ribbon website for the virtual
presentation?
what was it going to be? Not a convention.
Ceremony?
Yeah. So they're going to do a virtual ceremony. They have the dates listed, but they haven't sent details on what that's going to look like just yet.
I think it was like a week later, like November 10th, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking that I
I
saw.
think it might be right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was November, right? I think,
Yeah.
I thought the 12th and 13th.
13th. That's what I thought too.
Okay.
I think we need to also at the end of this school year, if we have been back in person, maybe hold just an all school picnic where we can be outside and have food catered in, or just some type of big celebration, and invite former students, invite former staff members, because a lot of people to celebrate.
And Eagle Academy alumni.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
And everybody can wear their field day t-shirts to date themselves.
Oh, that would be even
Well, the
funnier.
kids won't be able to fit
Casey,
there.
you weren't here, but was it 2 years ago, Mindy, or 3 years ago that we did the first kindergarten class was graduating that year. So we had them come back to our last awards assembly with their cap and gown, and all the kindergartners gave them a candy lei at the
Oh my
assembly. It was
gosh,
really
that
cute.
would have been like a big
Yeah, it was
teary
3 years
fest.
ago because it was the class that Skylar Gilbert was in.
But isn't that kind of a tradition now? We do that for,
Yes, we've been doing that since then, except for
Well, except last year.
well, yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
last year
we've done
you
it 2
guys put on
times,
the
I think.
best show ever.
We did have our 10th anniversary celebration several years ago. And so we did that same kind of thing where we invited anybody who'd been an alumni and came back. But I like the field day thing, if anybody still has their field day shirts.
Can you believe that was 6 years ago?
No, I can't. So Deanne, you said you sent something out to the teachers with that list of all the suggestions. Are you having the staff work on whoever wants to compile some way to celebrate, or are you wanting other people to be involved in that, or just, I wasn't sure if you were wanting other people to be involved in that, like asking parents or families or PTO APB members, or are you just having the staff kind of coordinate that?
Well, do you think that it would be, since the PTO has sort of been struggling to figure out what they can do to support the school this year, do you think that that's something we want to ask them to do? Because I know that the teachers and staff are extremely busy. And I'm pretty sure it would be nice if Missy and.
I'm sure
and
that the
Mindy could
PTO would
make,
love to have something to do.
No, we would not.
I don't know. I'm really missing Fall Festival right now. I'm about to like place an obscene amount of craft supply orders for my house decorations.
Okay.
So can you maybe put on the agenda for next time a budget for a celebration? Some funds for something like that. That way, PTO won't have to fundraise everything.
And I'll just
That'd
let
be,
you know,
then they could just plan it. That would be great to
I
remove the
will
fundraising.
volunteer to be your reporter that travels to DC to give you up to date minute by minute of the conference live. I can show you the room that they're in doing all the videoing and stuff.
You probably won't be allowed in. You might have to stand outside with your phone and video the building.
And I will, Missy, I will do that with no problem.
So Mindy, I have an idea. You could set your classroom up with DC things. You know, you could have the Lincoln Memorial, you could have the White House, you know, all of that. And then you could say that you're really there and you could show it all to us and you could be in DC.
Jennifer, I want to be there for real,
I know.
not for pretend.
I know.
I don't think you really want to be there this November.
No,
Let's wait.
no.
Maybe,
Of course.
you know what? Maybe we can just pop in on the 2021 celebration. What do you think?
I think
I
we should.
agree. We should crash it.
We were robbed. We're here for our 5 minutes of fame.
All right. So you don't need anything else from us on that one then?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm reading this thing that Ann sent to us. Wrap the school in blue ribbon.
Oh, wow.
That would be
it.
fun.
Maybe you could do the school name in blue cellophane.
Yeah. So I will send that to Tanya Prentice and Alicia and who else?
Ask
Beth,
Hillard.
is that what you're?
Oh, and Beth. Okay, I'll send that list to the three of them and ask if they would mind trying to coordinate a big celebration. And then we'll work out details of when and where and all of that. But if we can provide them with a budget, that would be awesome.
So I have that on to list on the agenda for next time. But I would, since we want to make sure to include everybody, I would maybe if PTO forms a committee or something, open it up to parents because people need things to celebrate right now. And there are some people that would be all over coming up with party ideas and that would give them a big boost personally, emotionally on their own to help be involved in that so that like if the PTO board, because Beth is a teacher, so she might be super stressed right now, but to help spread some of that wealth.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
people
PTO is a good avenue to get the word out to all of our families, our parents, and they can figure out how they want to organize that. I'll just need to be involved a little bit with some of the coordination for facilities and if we have any health and safety considerations that we need to keep in mind.
All right. On to financial review. That was sent out with the same email that the principal's report is in.
So I think that the only thing that we have right now that we've really expended any funds on out of the ordinary is our operations and maintenance. And so today we were able to get from accounting and purchasing what those fees were for. And so the district had charged us for people to come out and install the plexiglass barrier by Tamara's desk and in my office. And then also for activating our TA and teacher key fobs.
Are you talking about the building ground supplies?
Yep. All of those things.
And none of the COVID expenses are on here. Those are just kept separate, right?
Yep. Yep. COVID is totally separate right now. And then of course the difference in the rental in the buildings is that we passed our budget before based on last year's lease and not this year's numbers. So that's the difference in the 32 counter, 3,200.
Does anyone have any questions on anything? We're all good with it?
Did you notice that in the 01 counter for unallocated adjustments that went up?
You had
You-
mentioned that earlier, right?
We had roughly 1.6 in change last year. And then they went through and cleaned up all of our accounts from the spring. And so now we have 1.832.
They're just big numbers. I don't keep track from report to report.
To me, I'm like, as long as it's in the general same 6-7 figures.
Well, I
When
know
it's
that
900 or 2
there are
million, we'll be
people
like,
that are keeping track of that number, right, Daryl?
I mean, I notice that really closely every time I notice it.
all right. If no one has any questions, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
And can I get a second?
I'll
I'll second.
second. Or was that Daryl seconding?
That was my husband seconding. He thinks we can't hear him in the kitchen. It's like a tunnel back here. All right, adjourned at 7:45.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Vanessa, my husband brought me earphones.